Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, MIL has a meltdown because she has to wait 14 days before meeting our child. My MIL-to-be went from absolutely adoring me to hating my guts, and I don't know why. Jamil used to love me, now she hates me. Update. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. MIL has a meltdown because she has to wait 14 days before meeting our child. Yesterday we announced to family and friends that we are not having any visitors for 2 weeks minimum after the birth of our first child, who's due the middle of September. We're doing this for a multitude of reasons, giving us time to bond as a family unit, gain confidence within ourselves that we are capable, giving baby and I time to heal, not having a string of experts trying to tell us how to do things, along with concerns of soaring COVID and RSV numbers. We also live out of state from all family and didn't want this awkward mad dash of people driving or flying to us all at once. All agreed that it was a good idea. Except for MIL. She immediately called my husband and is bawling. I can hear everything as she starts sputtering in between sobs that she's already booked an Airbnb for the week I'm due and was planning on coming to the hospital when I go into labor. My husband is immediately pissed, asks why the hell would she book an Airbnb without asking us first and what makes her so sure of the arrival date. He also let her know that our hospital isn't allowing any visitors, not that we were going to have any anyways, even the waiting rooms are unavailable due to COVID and he is the only person allowed in, period. She then starts backtracking and saying she was just looking at Airbnbs, she didn't book anything yet and she just wants to be there from the start to help. This just made my husband even more pissed, and he reminded her of when I was 22 weeks pregnant. She came over to help us move and ended up scrubbing our barely used oven for the entire day while I was lugging boxes up and down from our third-story apartment, which I was entirely capable and able to do, but still. He continued with saying that she didn't want to come help, she isn't going to come do laundry or dishes or cook or run errands, she wants to hog the baby while we run around playing host to her. She took a super dramatic, long pause and responded with how times are just so different now and that there was something driving a distance between them and she didn't mean miles. He said, "Is it the fact that I'm now a 32-year-old man, with a business, a wife and child on the way, and you still think I'm your little boo bear who can be easily manipulated and guilted into doing only what you want?" He hung up after that, thankfully, but I was so proud in how he not only stood up for himself, but our family as a whole. It's absolutely insane how selfish people get when it comes to babies that aren't even theirs. 14 days is nothing compared to a lifetime. They're not going to be any less small or cute or fresh or whatever weirdo term you want to push onto this infant. Meeting our baby is a privilege, not a right, and if you can't even manage to follow the simple guidelines we've put into place, well, I guess you'll meet them at Christmas, maybe. Your husband did such a good job. He called her out, and I'm sure she certainly didn't expect her crocodile tears to fail her. I very much wish my husband had done something similar after my LO was born. I would just like to state that my husband is blushing like crazy as I read these comments aloud to him. I really want to thank everyone for commenting and being supportive of him. I know it might not seem like a big deal, but these have really put him in a healthy mindset and I'm just very grateful. Thank you. I'm a high fiver. When you get the chance, give him one from me to go along with the blush, smiley face. Your DH is amazeballs. Congrats on having an awesome guy looking out for you, and congrats on Squish. This was huge for him. He still deals with a lot of guilt when it comes to family, but ever since we found out we were expecting, his entire mindset has changed for the better. Do yourself a favor, buy one of those where the baby carriers that negates the need for anyone to hold the baby for you when they visit. When she does visit, allow her to sit down for a cup of coffee, then when SH has drunk it, show her the day's to-do list and assign her chores from it. Baby holding is a reward for actually doing something that really helps you rather than the luck she wants to offer you. Have the list written down before she arrives in case your mind goes blank when she's there. Puddle brain syndrome is real and very prevalent in the first few weeks postpartum, and ensure that she doesn't grab the easy jobs so she can hold the baby. When I had my daughter, my mum moved in for 3 weeks. I didn't lift a finger round the house while she was there. She did all the housework, laundry, ironing and cooking, and went and did the shopping with DH. It was brilliant. She did get lots of cuddles too, but her help was absolutely priceless. I'm absolutely adoring your husband's shining spine. My MIL-to-be went from absolutely adoring me to hating my guts, and I don't know why. My fiancé, 24M, and I, 25F, met while working overseas, and the first 9 months of our relationship happened there. He and I actually come from the same place and grew up within an hour of each other, but somehow met each other while working in another country. Our relationship developed pretty quickly, I admit, but he truly is the best person I've ever met, and I really can't wait to marry him. Now, when we were overseas, I would talk with MIL on the phone pretty much every time he did, since we were usually together. We got to know each other pretty well. She would always gush about how she liked me and had always wanted him to find someone who would love him the way he deserves. Then our contracts ended and we came home, him on vacation before his next assignment, and me until we get married. Suddenly, MIL is avoiding him and saying that she knows he has no time for her because things are different now. And when you look around at what has changed, the only thing that's new here is me. MIL continues making passive comments alluding to me all while avoiding my fiancé, who was looking forward to seeing her and introducing the two of us. She avoids him all the way until his final week of vacation, out of the 5 weeks he took off, where we have dinner together. She doesn't bother chatting with me, and, honestly, at that point I didn't want to provoke her further by possibly saying the wrong thing, so I let her, my fiancé, and BIL hang while I drown myself in bottomless margaritas. She then calls fiancé and says that it's nothing personal, she just doesn't really know me at all and she's concerned as a mother about the nature of our relationship. She thinks I control her son too much, all because he had mentioned that we had begun discussing how to handle finances when we get married. But when we were overseas together, the number one thing she said she loved about me is that I enjoyed chatting with her and she really knew me and knew I loved her son. So, the lie detector test determined that was a lie. We went to dinner again the night before my fiancé left for his next job, and this time I tried harder to talk but was mostly ignored or interrupted by MIL throwing petty jabs at my fiancé. Then, when he gets safely to his next job, she ghosts him again for 2 weeks. When they talk again, she tries making petty jabs at my expense again, and she and my fiancé got in a screaming match and she hung up on him. Now he told her that if she doesn't have anything nice to say about me, she needs to keep it to herself or he won't be speaking to her anymore. I don't know what changed. I don't know why she seems to hate me now, but I also don't really care. I just hate seeing my person feel torn because the person he was so excited to introduce me to hates me and is acting like she never approved of me to begin with. I don't want him to lose his mom because she can't accept me. I just don't know what to do. After the last fight, she texted him something along the lines of "I love you, nobody can come between us," to which he told her he wanted to talk ASAP. She agreed and then cancelled and tried to push it back to the weekend. He tried calling her anyway, and then texted her they can still talk, but he's putting in his zero tolerance policy for sh*t talk about me. We'll see how that goes. She switched to hating you because he brought you back. You were supposed to be some fling to keep him looked after while he was abroad for work, to be left behind at the end so he could come back to mommy. TBQH, I think the issue is that while you were overseas you weren't a threat. You were a summer romance/temporary fling kind of deal. Because you would break up and he would come home to mama and all would be well again. So she could pretend for a while to love you, because there was no harm in it. But now that you're actually right there in front of her, she's realizing you're permanent and she really doesn't like it. And she's sick of pretending. I don't think she ever liked you. I think she liked the idea of her baby not being alone while he was away, but now that he's home, he needs to be with her all the time, and you get in the way of that. I could be way off, for sure, but I dunno. Just something to think about. I agree with the first few commenters OP. It seems MIL did not want to believe your relationship with her son was real because you both were overseas. But now that you and BF have returned home, she has no choice but to be forced to realize that you and BF are serious about each other. The good part is that BF has placed a boundary down. She can either be kind when she speaks about you or not be on speaking terms with her son. It's her choice: be childish and petty or act like the grown woman she is biologically and accept these new changes. It became real. Once you became more than the out-of-country romance, you became the competition, the problem trying to come between them. She's one of those, "You're taking my son from me, just knows." I just want to hammer home that if he loses/goes NC with his mother over this, it's not because of you, but because of her. Well, you were stealing her little angel after all, so you must be evil, right? When you both were there, you were just a voice, not a real person, so she could pretend nice and play the perfect FMIL. But now that you were here, you suddenly became real, and now she realizes she will lose whatever control she thought she had over your fiancé. So, you and him keep talking together, discuss finances, plan your future, and have some what-if scenarios ready for MIL in case she either goes off her rocker, or tries love bombing, etc. And put her on an info diet. She doesn't need to know about your finances, plans to have, or not, children, where you two vacation, etc. Take note of when her supposed misgivings started, when you mentioned having discussed how your finances would work when married. Before then, she wasn't taking you or the relationship seriously. When you were overseas, you were, to her, just a theoretical girlfriend. She could make nice under those circumstances, probably because she either expected or hoped that the relationship would end once you and your boyfriend got home. But it didn't, and now you're a real, actual, in real life threat. She knows she's being displaced as the most important woman in his life, and she's being an immature, self-pitying, petulant brat about it. Make sure you don't put pressure on him to interact with her the way you think he should, especially while he is sticking up for you. Tell him you'll support whatever choices he makes as long as he is protecting you. That means you don't nudge him to call or remind him to send presents for holidays. It means you listen and support when he needs to vent about her. You provide advice if he asks, but always starting with, "What do you want to happen?" / "What do you want the relationship to work with?" / "Is that something you can realistically make happen?" I think that what changed is that you came home and now your relationship with her son is right in front of her face. "Jamil used to love me, now she hates me" update. So a few things have happened since I last checked in. Jamil had been depending on future DH for a down payment for a new apartment. He was still willing to help her out. He didn't want his mother to be homeless, and I understood that, but he told her that their relationship was going to be in jeopardy if she couldn't apologize for what she had said to me. She apologized to him without hesitation and told him that she really did like me, and I was sweet and perfect. You get the picture. He was happy to hear that, but he told her she still needed to make it right with me. She said she would. And then she didn't. Weeks went by and honestly, I was not surprised. The comments you all left on my last post kind of clarified for me that even if she apologized to him, it was only because she still wanted FDH's money and unwavering loyalty, and I was, in her eyes, an obstacle to both. FDH was irritated with her reluctance to speak to me, so when she reached out and said she'd finally found housing and needed the down payment, he said yes, but she still needed to speak to me and make it right. Then I got a Facebook message about how there was a misunderstanding and she really did love me like her own. She was just protective over FDH. I responded kindly, but firmly, that FDH was really hurt by this situation, and I trusted in the future that she would come to me if she had concerns about my intentions. She left me on read. FDH goes ahead and sends her a majority of her down payment. However, his bank started limiting his transfers because it was a large amount of money. He let her know that he couldn't send her the final $500 and that if she needed it that day, she could ask BIL, since he literally couldn't send any more for another 24 hours. Dear reader, she flipped her ever-loving shit. She began telling FDH not to worry, that I, who was never part of the conversation, would get every cent back since I now ran him. that she would never ask him for anything again. If she died tomorrow, he shouldn't be concerned. She said she couldn't believe her baby boy would choose some B*TCH over his own mother. She told him he was P*Psy whipped and I had changed him for the worst. He told her not to talk to him again, and he was deeply disappointed in her actions. I feel equal parts relieved and guilty. So does he. I don't want him to ever resent me for the damaged relationship between him and his family. I was willing to postpone our wedding, joining him overseas, even having a baby together because his mother needed financial support. Now we don't have to worry about those things, but I know it comes at a completely different cost for him. I don't miss his mom's presence in my life at all, but this is his mother, who he's never had an issue with prior to now, and as proud as I am of him for setting the boundary and sticking up for me, I know he's hurt by her actions toward me. I just want to say thank you again for the comments of support, weighing in, etc. from last post. It helped me feel a little less alone in my situation. She began telling FDH not to worry, that I, who was never part of the conversation, would get every cent back since I now ran him. And yet another example of in-laws who think their spouse is controlling the person if said person doesn't give them what they want entirely, as they want it. Whereas if they did, it wouldn't be because they were controlled by the in-law, but they'd be thinking for themselves. What a joke. I think they know he wouldn't be thinking for himself if he was doing what he wanted. She thinks it is a game for control and she is losing. Please remember this isn't your fault. The only reason he never had any issues with her before you came into the picture was because he was hers. She controlled him, had him 100% available, and knew that he was her obedient little ATM. In short, she owned him. She doesn't hate you for anything other than existing. She's a jealous toddler who thinks you stole her favorite toy. In addition, she has so little respect for her son that she truly believes he's too stupid to have taken part. She controlled him absolutely to take all his time and money, so that's all he's good for. You stole him, so now you control him absolutely and are taking her money. Is that love? Thinking your son is too dumb to make any choices about anything, ever, without someone controlling him? No matter what she says, you're not responsible. Awful people make awful choices and get awful results. There's literally nothing you could have done better. She is incapable of seeing anything but fault. Chin up, shoulders back, it's sad for your husband now, but the trash took itself out and your whole life can only get brighter. OP, I hope you don't take her actions/words towards you personally. Like I said in your first post, she didn't want to believe you and FDH were in a solid relationship until you guys came home and started your lives together as partners. Her unnecessary reaction to FDH telling her that he was unable to send the rest of the money due to the bank and her blaming you for no reason says a lot. She's losing control/access to his money and personal life and she can't handle it. All you can do now is support FDH and try to get him into counseling or have him start reading or listening to the books here on the book list on narcissistic mothers and silent sons. Observation rather than advice. FMIL damaged the relationship between her son and herself, not you. Two young adults joining their lives, planning and living the future, thinking about and starting their own family, all that is normal. It's how the human race works. FMIL screaming entitlement, willingness to take FDH's assets, name-calling and derision when she doesn't get her way, these are abnormal. She is solely responsible for the gulf and the pain. That doesn't lessen the gut-deep hurt caused by her actions toward you both. Perhaps it helps the two of you to put it in perspective. Deeply disappointing? Absolutely. Learning that one's mother is a selfish monster, willing to lash out at both of you, is awful. No way around it. But remember, this was likely inevitable, as had FDH and you not found each other, he would still have sought a mate. It's his mother. Not you and not him. He was going to go through this regardless of with whom he tried to join his life. That likely doesn't lessen the wound of finding out his egg donor is a not very good person. It may, however, help that wound heal. From your posts, what I have to go on, you two are good persons. Do your best to accept that an emotionally poverty-stricken parent is, sadly, luck of the draw. Work to create your family of choice to replace his family of origin that's so lacking. May you together journey far in a sturdy ship, weather the inevitable rough seas and find joy in the wondrous places and experiences to come. Even if she apologizes, it's meaningless, just a ploy to get whatever she wants from him. I would be very open with him about any contact from MIL. Hun, you didn't cause this. MIL did. 100%. This rift, this wedge, this loss of relationship for DH? SHE did that. Do what you can to be supportive to him. Encourage him to see a therapist for a bit to navigate the grief, untangle complex feelings, and move forward unwaveringly with his head held high. They can also help him / both of you stand firm if she tries to pull any guilt shit, and you can also talk to them about how to best be supportive. I'm so sorry you've had to deal with all this. He's never had a problem until now because he's always given her what she wants. Because this kinda sh*t doesn't just appear out of nowhere. He's either never paid attention before when she treated others like this, or he thinks her behavior towards him is normal, or both. The fact that she blamed you for his banking issue is proof positive that she's all about the money and nothing else. Good, he can see her with open eyes now. Don't feel guilty, you actually gave him an amazing gift, the ability to see the truth about someone who does not have his best interests at heart and is willing to lie and manipulate him to get exactly what she wants. Make sure FDH and you protect yourselves, she isn't done yet. She will come back hard at him as soon as she is able, because she isn't used to him saying no to her. Make sure you are both ready for retaliation, because it's gonna happen sooner or later and it's going to be ugly. Prepare now. I just want to say it has nothing to do with you. She would have acted like this with any woman that dared to love her ATM. I mean, son. Came here to say the same thing. It's not you, it is so very much her. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.